Right now, here on Good Morning Quad Cities, taking a stand. The defense Muscatine Mayor Diana Broderson made over the weekend as she fights to keep her job. Plus, the big anniversary celebrated yesterday for the John Deere Classic and the local program that kicks off next week, 98 days before the big tournament.
But first, we're following a shooting that happened just hours ago in East Moline. What police say led up to it, coming up.
Live from WQAD, this is News 8's Good Morning Quad Cities.
Good morning and welcome. It is Monday, April 3rd. I'm Angie Sharp.
And I'm Jonathan Ketz. Thanks for joining us. We'll have more on that shooting coming up here in just a moment. First, though, we'll look at the forecast because as you saw in that video, rain in the forecast right now. The question is, how much longer will we have it here in the area?
Yep, Eric's got all the answers for us, good and bad, right, Eric?
Yeah, 6:01 right now. Time to take a look at Storm Tracker. We did pick up quite a bit of rainfall overnight, about 1/4 of an inch falling in many locations. You can see all of this continues to drift to the north. A drying trend will take us through the morning commute, but there's more rain where that came from, especially as we look into the afternoon. Here's a look at the next 6 hours. We may dry out just a little bit here for the morning. More persistent rains out to the west of the Quad Cities, but more comes in later this afternoon. Temperatures right now into the upper 40s and low 50s. Not terrible when you walk outside here for this morning, but get ready for some rain and more gray skies overhead. Rain continues on and off here for today. Temperatures in the 50s. You'll want to get used to that because it'll be with us for a couple of days. Time to take a look at traffic right now at 6:01. You can see I-74 Middle Road looking fine just now, guys.
Eric, thank you. New this morning, one person is hurt after a shooting in East Moline. It happened just before 2 a.m. this morning in the 1300 block of 10th Avenue near John Deere Harvester Works. When police arrived, they say they found a man who had been shot twice in the upper back outside a house. He was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Investigators say the shooting may be related to a fight between the victim and someone he knew. Investigators are now interviewing witnesses and continue to investigate what happened.
Supreme Court Justice nominee Neil Gorsuch now has the support of 3 Senate Democrats ahead of his confirmation hearing tomorrow. We have the new details right here on Good Morning Quad Cities. Senate Democratic leaders still plan to filibuster his nomination, but they can't afford to lose more than 7 votes. Right now, Democrats have at least 36 senators supporting the filibuster or leaning that way, but Republicans are threatening to use the so-called nuclear option if there is a filibuster, meaning they would change the Senate rules to confirm Gorsuch with a simple majority of 51 votes, which they already have.
Judge Gorsuch will be confirmed this week one way or another. I hope the Democrats will provide the 60 votes.
Why doesn't President Trump, Democrats and Republicans in the Senate sit down and try to come up with a mainstream nominee?
Indiana U.S. Senator Joe Donnelly said yesterday that he would back Gorsuch, saying that he is a qualified jurist who will base his decisions on the law. Democrats Heidi Heitkamp of North Dakota and Joe Manchin of West Virginia also plan to support Gorsuch.
Well, we won't know until next month if Muscatine Mayor Diana Broderson will keep or lose her job. The mayor and city council will give final arguments on May 2nd. During a 9-hour hearing on Saturday, Mayor Broderson and her attorney addressed the charges against her. Those include willful misconduct, making false claims, and violations of ethics. Broderson's attorney spent more than 4 hours going through each complaint, asking the same questions. What's the charge, and how is it a violation against city code?
That's a violation of the ethics policy?
Again, saying that I'm going to do something right in contrast to how the council has been doing something, yes, it is.
Just saying I'm right, you're wrong, that's a violation.
Most of the time when the mayor would talk to me about things, if I gave her advice contrary to what apparently she had wanted to hear, she would continue on and proceed past getting my legal opinion.
The city council will make the decision if Mayor Broderson will be able to keep her job. A date for a final ruling has not yet been determined. The Davenport School Board is not backing down from its promise to dip into reserve funds because of the current Iowa education funding formula.
In our School Zone coverage this morning, News 8's Jessica Dedita explains dipping into those reserve funds could bring consequences. Jessica?
There have been talks about the school board dipping into reserve funds for over a year, and now tonight they will meet here at the Davenport Achievement Center to discuss what will happen to board members' jobs if they do. This comes after board members filed an application with the School Budget Review Committee asking for the use of $1.6 million in reserve funds that can't be used. That request was denied. The reason for the request is because right now 175 school districts in Iowa get between $1 and $175 per student. That equals a little over $6,000 per student per year, but some school districts are getting more money depending on where they live. The lack of equal funds have forced the board to consider illegally dipping into their reserves, which puts board members at risk for breaking the law and losing their license if they do.
It's morally wrong to say this kid on this side of the street will only spend this amount of money, and on this side of the street we'll spend up to $175 more. And that's what's happened.
Now, the consequences for board members could be harsh, but they say they took an oath to stand up for students, and dipping into reserves is doing just that. Back to you in studio.
All right, Jessica, thanks. The board will meet tonight at the Davenport Achievement Service Center at 5:30.
Well, state funding is also making a big impact throughout the Galesburg School District. Last week, Eric sat down with Galesburg Superintendent Ralph Grimm as part of our Breakfast With segment on Good Morning Quad Cities. Grimm says school funding is usually 2 years behind the national economy. So while the U.S. economy is recovering, school funding will not see that until sometime around the year 2019. However, Grimm says it's the state budget that's really impacting them.
The state of Illinois has compounded all the problems that the state has in order to pay their bills, and the state's not been paying their bills on time, and so that really hurts our cash flow.
Grimm says the school board has done a building study to see if they should consolidate, close, or build a new facility to cut down on some costs. Now, this week's Breakfast With takes us to Modern Woodman Park for opening day of the 2017 baseball season for the Quad Cities River Bandits. We'll be having some fun at the ballpark with General Manager Andrew Chesser starting at 5 a.m.
Tomorrow, voters in 2 Henry County school districts will choose to join the districts together or to keep them apart. The decision involves the Cambridge and Allwood school districts. People in favor of the consolidation say students will have more class options. Those against it say it would come with longer bus routes, though, and higher taxes. School leaders say no matter the outcome, progress is already being made.
In the last 4 months, more people have talked about the education of their child than ever before. It has been an amazing debate. It has been an amazing conversation for parents and school members.
The district admits the merger proposal won't save money right away. In fact, property taxes could increase slightly. A majority of voters in both Cambridge and Allwood need to vote for the merger for it to be approved.
Voters in Erie, Illinois will also decide tomorrow on a few changes to their schools. Superintendent Brad Cox says right now the schools are too spread out, causing both the elementary and the high schools to share part of a building. So tomorrow, voters will decide if they want to approve an almost $14 million bond referendum for the school district. The money will help pay for a project that would combine Erie's middle and high schools. If approved, the measure would eliminate the extra space and use it instead to house the district office. There are also other elections going on tomorrow, including the Moline and Rock Island mayoral race. Polls are open throughout the state from 6 until 7. For all information of who and what will be on the ballots, county by county, as well as how to find your polling place, go to our website, WQAD.com, and type the word election in the search box.
Work continues this morning on the Brady Street resurfacing project in Davenport. 2 left lanes between River Drive and 7th Street will be closed as crews begin work on the asphalt. Work this spring will primarily be focused on this area of Brady. Some manhole adjustments, sidewalks, and driveways will also be done between 5th and Lombard. The entire project expected to be finished by June. And a facelift is coming to Davenport Skate Park, but it has been delayed a week. The project was expected to begin today, but due to a scheduling conflict with the contractor, it's been delayed. The work on the 10-year-old skate park includes concrete repair and fixing other parts of the park that have some wear and tear. Davenport city leaders hope the project will be done in early May.
Yesterday marked 20 years since John Deere made the commitment to be the title sponsor for the John Deere Classic. And during those 20 years, the JDC has raised $80 million for hundreds of organizations, something the tournament prides itself on. That agreement has also been the 3rd longest with a PGA event. The current contract runs through the year 2023. This year's John Deere Classic only 98 days away. Golfers will tee it up at TPC Deere Run July 10th through the 16th. WQAD News 8 is once again proud to be the official station of the John Deere Classic.
Speaking of, the JDC Birdies for Charity kicks off next week. Last year, the pros hit 1,982 birdies over the course of the 4-day tournament, and the Pro-Am raising a record-shattering $9.5 million. All right, still to come. Right here on Good Morning Quad Cities, it's time to talk business. We catch up with Phil Kaswitz on what to expect from the stock market today.
Plus, investing in soybeans, why more farmers across the U.S. are expected to plant more beans this year, and how that could impact corn.
Temperatures outside into the upper 40s and low 50s. I'll let you know about a warming trend that brings us into the 60s and 70s. And what if I told you that there's a possibility that something other than rain could fall from the sky? You'd probably stick around for that, wouldn't you? Weather's next.
You're watching Good Morning Quad Cities with Jonathan Katz and Angie Sharp.